Welcome, everyone. I'm going to call this meeting to order. Today is the 19th of November, 2024. This is the Finance Administration Committee and a special meeting of the Board of Directors of West Basin Municipal Water District. So with that, let's determine a quorum. Roll call, please. DJ Caldwell.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Director Harold Williams. Chairman Scott Houston. Director Gloria Gray. Director Don Deere.
Here.
Director Desi Alvarez. Mr. Chairman, we do lack a quorum at this time. However, the committee agenda does provide several information counter items as well as the action items listed on item 5. So if the committee would like to begin with information items, we could do that without a quorum.
Very good. Thank you. So with that, we're going to move along. Public comment. Anyone from the public wishing to speak?
Mr. Chairman, we have not received any requests for public comment, though this meeting is being held both in person and virtually. If there's any member of the public that would like to speak, please indicate so now by raising your virtual hand. And Mr. Chairman, I do not see any requests for public comment. And we do have our second committee member, Director Harold Williams, entering the room.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Rest of these.
Thank you. So, no public comment. Director Williams is here, so we now have a quorum and we have the committee members are all present. Presentations.
Staff has no presentations.
Let's see, action calendar, item 5A, approval of minutes.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. This item begins on packet page 4. And for this presentation, we have Desiree Quintero, our Manager of Administration and Board Secretary.
Good morning, members of the board and committee. Approval of minutes can be found, as EJ mentioned, beginning on packet page 4. The minutes for the West Basin Municipal Water District Board of Directors meetings are an integral part of the public meeting process. Minutes provide a history of the actions taken at board meetings, which is informative not only for members of the public, but for other stakeholders as well. Minutes for the October 9th special board meeting, October 17th Public Information and Education Committee and special board meeting, and the October 28th regular board meeting have been attached for consideration and can be found beginning on packet page 6. With that, I would like to read the recommendation that the board approve the October 9th, 2024 special board meeting minutes, the October 17th, 2024 Public Information and Education Committee and special board meeting minutes, and the October 28th, 2024 regular board.
Great, thank you. Any questions? Director, question? None? Minute? The minutes look good?
Good to me.
Any questions, Director Deere?
No questions.
So with that, we'll move this forward to recommendation of approval for the full board. Director Williams. Perfect. All right. Thank you. So 5B is in boy, which is consider sponsorship of fiscal year 24-25 community outreach event.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Item 5B begins on packet page 16. And for this presentation, we have Hazel Vasquez, our Deputy Board Secretary, too.
CJ mentioned item 5B does begin on packet page 16. Today, I have one item for your consideration and review. The 2025 Screenland 5K is being held on Saturday, March 1st and Sunday, March 2nd in 2025. In the city of Culver City, Director Houston is requesting consideration for West Basin to sponsor this event in the amount of $2,250, which would grant West Basin a speaking opportunity for a district representative, a district booth/table to distribute district information, as well as an advertisement promoting district awareness. We did previously sponsor this event last year, and we did so in the same amount of $2,250. And at that time, we also received all 3 benefits of a speaking opportunity, booth, and advertisement. Additional information regarding this year's request is included as attachment E, and you can find that on packet page 18. For the fiscal impact for your consideration, As you know, we do have a budget of $75,000 for the community outreach program for this fiscal year. The budget is currently at a balance of 43,150, or I'm sorry, it will be at a balance of 43,150. Should you choose to recommend this item for approval at the amount of $2,250, which is being requested today. If you would like to see details on this running budget, you can turn to packet page 22, where attachment B begins. And with that, I'll turn your attention to packet page 17 so that I can read the recommendation. Director Houston recommends that the board consider approving sponsorship of the 2025 Screenland 5K event scheduled to be held on Saturday, March 1st and Sunday, March 2nd, 2025 in the amount of $2,250. And with that, I am happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Haza. And I'll just say this is the exact same thing we did last year with the exact same benefits. And it was an extremely well-attended event, and we do get a booth there. I think even in here it says they estimate around like 3,700 people, give or take, attend this event. So it's one of the biggest in Culver City. So any questions? Directors? I would recommend it moves forward with an approval from the board. Director Williams? Sure. Thank you, Haza. Okay, 5C as in cat. We got a couple items here. Consider fiscal year 24-25 district sponsorship requests. So EJ, you'll introduce that.
Yes, thank you very much. This item begins on packet page 23. Item C includes 3 specific items. So I'll hand it off to Carla Hewitt, our executive assistant, for the presentation.
Thank you, EJ. We bring 3 district sponsorship requests for your consideration, beginning with the South Bay Cities Council of Governments 25th Annual General Assembly, taking place at the Carson Community Center on Thursday, March 27, 2025, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. This organization is celebrating 30 years of existence, and the program they've chosen is oriented to recognize their legacy of success and their vision for tomorrow. Sponsorship opportunities available this fiscal year begin at $10,000 with the Golden Circle level and go all the way to the sponsor level with $2,500. Sponsorship elements presenting various combinations that grant exposure both within the program and also outwards through the organizers' social media accounts and also partner publications, which include newspapers. West Basin Municipal Water District has most recently sponsored this event in 2023 and 2024, and my understanding is that many years prior as well, at the sponsor level with $2,500. Further details on the sponsorship proposal can be found on your meeting packet on page 27, attachment A. Next would be the Urban Water Institute annual sponsorship. This is a little bit different of a proposal than what I have brought in previous occasions. The Urban Water Institute has transitioned from offering individual sponsorship opportunities for each separate conference to offering annual packages. So organizations can choose one package to cover the entire calendar year, which would include their spring conference, typically held in February, and their annual water conference, typically held in August. The sponsorship opportunities available for this proposal begin at $15,000 at the title level and going all the way to bronze level at $1,000. It's helpful for your consideration. Complimentary conference registrations begin at the silver level with one conference registration that can be used toward any of the conferences in the year. And if it's helpful as well, registration fees for member agencies and ads typically begin at $5.95 with early bird pricing going all the way to $6.95. Just some information to consider if it's helpful to review and consider here. The district has most recently sponsored both the spring and annual conferences in 2023 and 2024 with a combined fiscal year total of $6,000, with the committee and board authorizing $3,000 per event. So in this case, what we would be able to get, if you do decide to support this organization with a sponsorship, is essentially a 2-for-1. So one level would cover both conferences. More information on the sponsorship package proposal for the annual sponsorship can be found in attachment B on page 31 of your agenda packet. And moving on to the last one, we have the 2025 Water Reuse Annual Symposium taking place March 16th to 19th, 2025 at the J.W. Marriott Tampa Water Street in Tampa, Florida. Water Reuse is recognizing the 40th edition of this event, so it's a milestone edition, so to speak, and has prepared a special program in partnership with the Water Research Foundation. The sponsorship opportunities available for this event begin with the winner's circle at $16,500 and going all the way to the advocate level at $3,000. Complimentary conference registrations are available to sponsors starting at the innovator level with $6,000 and cannot be used to towards others water reuse events. So even though there are other water reuse events throughout the year, the complimentary and discounted registration available for sponsor would only be applicable to this event specifically. Also, registration fees for the annual symposium begin at $1,050 with early bird pricing, which is available until December 17th, going up to $1,600 for on-site registrants. So that's just additional information for your consideration. And the district has had different approaches to this event in different years. We have sponsored at various tiers in 2022 with $5,000, 2023 with $2,500, and most recently in 2024 with $7,500. A price increase of 10 to 20% with respect to previous years has been observed for all sponsorship years for this event. And during the current fiscal year, the board has already approved district sponsorship of 2 water reuse events. So we have done their annual, their California conference in July, if I'm not mistaken. And we also have the industrial reuse conference, which actually begins today, where we are table sponsors. So that has been a combined total of $5,000. Additional details for the water reuse annual symposium specifically can be found on attachment C on page 37. Benefit to West Basin: participation in outreach events provides West Basin opportunities to connect with the communities it serves, create and strengthen relationships with stakeholders, and remain up to date with new industry trends. Funds for the proposed sponsorships are included in the fiscal year 2024-2025 sponsorship budget in the amount of $55,000, with the current balance being $16,500, as shown in attachment D, which can be found on page 43 of your agenda packet. And with that, I'm gonna read the recommendation. That the board consider approving sponsorship of the South Bay Cities Council of Governments 25th Annual General Assembly to be held March 27, 2025 at the Carson Community Center, and that it determines the appropriate sponsorship level. That the board consider approving annual sponsorship of the Urban Water Institute, inclusive of the Spring Conference and the Annual Water Conference, and that it determines the appropriate sponsorship level. And that the board consider approving sponsorship of the 2025 Water Reuse Annual Symposium to be held March 16 to 19, 2025 at the J.W. Marriott Tampa Water Street in Tampa, Florida, and that it determines the appropriate sponsorship level. And with that, I'm open to any questions.
Excuse me. Thank you very much for all that. So this is in our court. So Director Williams, any first thoughts on any of this?
Yeah. If we can afford it, yes, absolutely.
That makes life a little easier. Well, the answer is, yeah, we can afford it. It's a matter of how much we want to afford, right? But, well, let me start. Regarding so there's the COG, which that's pretty amazing. They're going to celebrate 30 years next year. You know, I'm inclined to sponsor at the usual level of $2,500 that we normally do. You know, that's just my first thought. Yeah, it's $2,500. Yeah, the biggest thing is we get a booth there, which is great. We get some identification and, you know, we're longtime partners, so. But I think that would be reasonable. I don't know that we need to do more, quite frankly, as far as for what the benefit is. On the next one, which was Urban Water Institute. If I'm not mistaken, was it 3,000 last year?
We did 3,000 per conference. So we sponsored the spring one with 3,000 and then the annual one with 3,000. So it's a combined of 6 for the fiscal year. Their sponsorship, annual sponsorship goes per calendar year. So but in the end, it's the same. So it's.
Okay. So they may come for the next conference asking again, right? Basically.
Yes, and part of what they are trying to promote this time around is that it's essentially a 2-for-1. So
Yeah.
even if we decided to do like the 3,000, that would still cover that much gifts for both events. So we get exposure on the spring conference and then
Oh.
again in the annual one.
Oh, good. Oh, so
So it's no longer a per event thing, but it encompasses their 2 conferences throughout the year.
got it. But if you just do the 1,000, you don't get that.
No,
Okay.
it's the same. So it's the
Okay.
same. Yeah, it would, whatever amount is listed there, it will cover benefits for both conferences with the details that are outlined in the agenda packet. I believe it's page 31.
Okay. And you get 1-year complimentary conference registrations for spring or annual. Is that right? Seems like that's the only difference in the upper section, the net.
Per year. So this, if you're looking, for example, at the silver level, so the silver level would be the first level that actually grants a complimentary sponsorship, a complimentary registration. And it's, then we can choose whether to use it towards the spring conference or the annual.
Okay.
But it's only one.
Yeah.
And it moves up as, you know, the sponsorship years go on.
Okay, so, well, with that, I would recommend doing the silver for $3,000. Which sounds like that's basically what we've done in the past with them, right? So I would recommend, on the second item, the silver level, $3,000. And on the last one, the Water Reuse Annual Symposium, it will be in Tampa, which I do think is extremely important. And Water Reuse is just an excellent organization, so I think we should support them. And I would look at the lowest level advocate for $3,000. Hopefully, some of our staff will be heading out to that conference in the new year at some point. EJ, I don't know which director may or may not go, but yeah, water use. I think if anything, they're more in need than ever right now, and they're building up membership in other states that they have not previously done before. When we talked to them, I think Illinois, right, EJ? I believe Illinois has come in and a couple other states that you would have never thought.
You've done a good job of growing.
So what my recommendation would be, Director Williams, would be the $2,500 for the COG, the $3,000 for Urban Water Institute, and the lowest one is $3,000 for the Water Reuse Conference. I think it's being very judicious with our funds and still gets us these benefits. So that's what I think. What do you think?
Concur with that.
Very good. And then Director Deere, any questions? Okay, all right. So with that, those will be the recommendations to the full board. And you all have that, right? Perfect. Okay. You like putting us on the spot. to make these decisions. And by the way, of course, if anybody has an issue, they can pull it and we can decide if we want to do another number or whatever, but I think those are really reasonable. So, thank you for that, staff, much appreciated. Action item 5B is in dog, adopt resolution number 11-24-1217, amend procurement policy. EJ.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. This item begins on packet page 44 and will be presented by Colette Ayala, our contracts administrator.
Hello, Chair Houston and members of the committee and board. So I'd like to bring your attention to action item 5D on page 44 of your agenda packet to adopt resolution number 11-24-1217 to amend the procurement policy. So West Basin procures goods, services, and public works projects by following the policies outlined in the district's procurement policy. Best practices recommend that staff periodically review and update its policies to ensure they remain compliant with applicable laws and remain functional. Staff has reviewed the current procurement policy and recommends some enhancements. All of the changes presented to you have been reviewed by BBK, and the approval thresholds, including the board approval thresholds of $35,000 for public projects and $50,000 for all other projects, are remaining the same. Those are not being changed. There are a couple of changes that I would like to highlight. So starting on page 47 of your packet, you can see a red line version of the procurement policy, showing all of those changes. So the first one I would like to point out is at the bottom of page 50, we did update the definition of public works construction to match the public contracting code definition. We had a different definition before there. What we're proposing is to match now what is in the public contracting code. And then under section 5-1.103 on page 53, we did remove the requirement for West Basin to post a notice of recommended award 7 days prior to the board meeting. It's in a couple different paragraphs throughout that section. This was a suggestion by BBK to remove any potential hindrances by the district or for the district. We do plan on still posting these notices 7 days prior to board meetings, but we're removing the requirement for West Basin to do so.
Let me ask a question, just so we know, because obviously BB&K was fine with this. So we don't legally need to have that in here for whatever reason it was in here. Okay.
Yeah, all changes went by BBK. This was one that was actually recommended by them because it's not required by law and it's just putting a hindrance on West Basin. So we are still going to post those notices and we would like to do them. Yeah.
Why on earth did we have this in here? Was this ever the law or does anybody know?
It was not. I think that somebody put it in there just as a best practice maybe at the time. And so that's part of why we do these periodic reviews, just to make sure that it's fitting.
Yeah, sometimes we don't know things that quick. I mean, 7 days out, we have no clue. And we have an agenda rule we have to get posted. And then, of course, everybody understands what's going to be talked about, right? Okay, thank you.
So the next notable change is on page 61. This is where, so funding approval limits, right now they include taxes and shipping. Taxes and shipping are subject to change. So we did include a new term in there to go ahead and remove taxes and shipping or freight fees for the purpose of approval limits.
Which page?
On page 61. Yeah, so it's number 5 on page 61. Funding approval limits are exclusive of taxes and shipping or freight fees for the purpose of approval limits. That way, whoever approves it, if there's a change in the shipping or tax, we don't have to go back for approval. So it just creates a level of efficiency. And then the next section I would like to point out is 5-1.109, policy compliance. Not right. It is towards the end. So this is going to be on page 67 of your packet. So this is the policy compliance. We are proposing to add a statement enabling certain contracts to adhere to sections of the policy instead of the whole procurement policy. This is specifically to address the operations and maintenance contracts that we're soliciting right now. Our plan is to have them adhere to most of the policy, but not every part of the policy. That will all be in the contract that gets proposed to the board for board approval, but we would like to have it updated into the policy as well, just to cover all of our bases. And the last main enhancement that I would like to call out is the addition of section 5-1.111, which is just below the one that we just mentioned. This is the standard protest procedures. This has been drafted by BK. It is best practice to have protest procedures in place. Our current practice is for formal requests for bids, we do include protest procedures in those solicitations. However, we haven't been including protest procedures in other types of solicitations. So by having them in our procurement policy, this now will cover all solicitations, have a very clear protest process should any vendor feel the need to protest. The rest of the changes that we are proposing in the policy are minor enhancements, just little things to clean it up, make definitions, remove any duplicate definitions, things like that. But I kind of went over what I would consider the major changes. So now I would like to read the recommendation. So that the board approve, adopt, and authorize the president to sign resolution number 11-24-1217, resolution of the Board of Directors of West Basin Municipal Water District, amending the West Basin Municipal Water District Administrative Code as it relates to the procurement policy. I'm happy to answer any questions or further discuss any of the proposals.
And thank you very much. Let's see, first, Director Williams, do you have any questions on this?
Not questions, but just a comment. I would like to see this go for the main board without a recommendation, because policy changes are very heavy duty. And I think that people should see it for the first time as we see it, so they can see that we're not trying to put anything over them. So that would be the only reason I suggest that we would
Okay,
put it forward without a recommendation.
very good. Director, do you have any questions, comments?
No.
Okay. Well, I'll do this. I'll say, in light of that, I will go with Director Williams' recommendation. We'll just send it to the full board, no recommendation. We can discuss it at the board. It seems to me more than likely everything is in order. And then I was going to ask our general manager to make a comment on this. Obviously, the legal counsel did most of this work and everyone is in agreement that these are good adjustments, edits, changes. But can you give us your perspective, EJ, please?
It's exactly that. We've discussed this in the past. A lot of our code has been developed over decades. And in doing so, as we make amendments and we change with the times, and California State Legislature obviously dictates quite a bit, but we're always looking through our code and we're finding language that's, as was mentioned, duplicative or just maybe sometimes contradicts other provisions. So annual and regular cleanup, I think, is a good best practice. In this case, I think Best Best and Krieger, now having represented West Basin for about 2 years now, is really having the chance to get inside and look at our code. That is one of the benefits of having Best Best and Krieger, is that just the number of attorneys and the specialized practice areas that each member of the firm has. So we're able to actually access attorneys that have been doing this for other special districts over the years. And so it allows us to kind of see what other agencies have, and then of course model our best practices after kind of the industry. So I would thank staff for the overview of these changes, and we're happy to do a similar presentation at the board meeting. And of course, we'll have Best and Krieger there at the board meeting to answer any questions as well.
Okay, very good. I think that will work well. And also it is good that we constantly looking at this with fresh sets of eyes and we keep tweaking things because it's an aged document. So appreciate that. One thing, and just I think I saw maybe a minor typo. You all can look at this on page 64. The one that's item 3 in the middle of the page, and it says requires an informal competitive solicitation with an attempt at least 3 competitive proposals. So maybe with an attempt of at least 3 competitive proposals, quotations. If you all look at that, I don't know, it seems like it reads weird when you just throw in an attempt. That's the only thing I just happen to catch. But with that, yeah, let's just send it to the full board with no recommendation, and we can talk about it at the board meeting. But it sounds like everything is in order in our view. So, all right. Thank you very much. Now we'll do the information calendar. Item 6A, new agenda management system update.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this has been a long time coming. Our administrative team has been doing an excellent job of training West Basin staff on the system. As the board knows, this was an item that was budgeted as far as our IT services and just some of the requirements that our staff needs in order to bring all of the information to the board of directors and to the public monthly. And so we do have an information item today, item 6A, the new agenda management system update. It does begin on packet page 74. And for this presentation, we have Hazel Vasquez, our deputy board secretary.
Okay, as EJ mentioned, this item's on packet page 74. I'll give a quick little overview, just adding a little bit to what EJ has already mentioned, and then I am going to do a quick demonstration to show you what that new platform is going to look like. So just jumping right in, as EJ mentioned, we do utilize this system for a lot of various admin practices, most specifically the building, publishing, distributing of our board and committee meeting agendas. In addition, it also provides a platform on our district website to give that access to the public and other stakeholders to be able to go in and view anything that we post in relation to these meetings, including the recordings and the minutes. And it does help to be a historical repository for those things. We also utilize the system to actually notify these stakeholders about these meetings so they can sign up and request to be receive the notification when that does happen. So the current system that we have with Granicus, the license is set to expire on December 29th, so just a little over a month away. In preparation for that, we did work with the Civic Plus implementation team to get the system up and running, both on the public side as well as the internal side that staff will be using. We tried to make it so that it looks user-friendly for the public, and then as far as for staff, that it's an easy transition, and I feel like we're definitely there. In addition to transitioning the system itself, we did also, also migrate all of our data. So any agendas, agenda packets, recordings, minutes, things of that sort that you currently see now on the website that is embedded through the district website, which is the platform with Granicus. All of that you see there, you'll now be able to find in the new system as well. In addition to migrating that data, we also did migrate over any of our existing distribution lists. So that includes any members of the community, other agencies, all stakeholders essentially, and all interested parties that would like to receive notifications. They've been migrated over to ensure that they continue to receive those once we go live with the new system. Staff has been receiving ongoing training since August. There were a few different testing phases of sorts. We did do a couple trial runs with meetings with the admin team. The different committees have been kind of getting together within their departments and doing test runs of sorts as well, of creating items and things of that. So we actually had a user training just this morning, and based on that, it seems as though staff is fairly prepared to make this switch. And so with that, we are looking to launch the new system come December 1st. So anyone that accesses our district website, when they go on there to view the minutes and agendas and things of that sort, will now see a new landing page, and I'll be sharing that with you in just a second. But essentially, our goal is to have the next meeting, which or the first meeting in December, which would be the December 16th Water Policy and Legislation Committee as it currently stands scheduled. That would be the first meeting that we post using this new system. On our end, let me rephrase that, on the board's end, you'll notice a couple different things. The public is going to notice a few minor things. Most of the differences, though, are going to be on the staff side, just the way that we put it together and all of that. But with all that, I'm going to take over screen rights real quick so that I can do a little demonstration of what those changes are going to look like. So right now, the public does not have access to this just yet. It hasn't gone live on our website, but once it does, and they go onto the district website and select board agendas and minutes, it's going to bring them to this landing page. Now, just to get you a little acquainted, as you see here on the left, it's the calendar. You'll notice that some numbers are bolded, others are grayed out. At a glance, it just helps see when we have meetings scheduled. Those that are bold are dates that there are meeting agendas or meetings scheduled with agendas there. There is also a filter underneath if you wanted to go back a few months, select specific dates in there to look. We do have another filter here to be able to select if you're only looking for certain types of meetings, whether that be the caucus meeting or one of the other committee meetings. You can narrow it down using that. To the right of that, there is also a search feature. So if it's, you're looking for a specific project or you heard something mentioned about a sponsorship and you wanted to look that up, that would be the easiest way to go. Now, going into the meetings themselves, as you can see here, we do have one marked live. This is currently just for demonstration purposes. No one is seeing this right now. But essentially, once we start using this system, anyone that goes onto this platform is going to see if there is a meeting ongoing at that moment. It'll be marked as live. There will also be a little symbol. This one here, it's a little hard to see, but it's like a little camera and it has some frequency lines of sorts, I'm assuming, showing that it's streaming or something, but that means it's live. Next to it, we have a couple other icons that just, one mentions the little, what is that thing called? The little horns. That this has, the agenda for this meeting has been published. And then the one next to it will allow you to download the file. So looking at what that actually all looks like, if you click on that meeting, it would bring you into the meeting details for this committee meeting. So using today's meeting as the example, you'll see here that on the left, we have a couple things: meeting overview, meeting media, meeting files, and then it gives you the option to share the meeting. We'll start with meeting files, which is what's open now. This gives you access to the agenda packet as well as the agenda itself. Those are PDFs that are embedded here and are fully working. Any links in here are clickable. This is also ADA compliant. So if HTML is needed for those services, that's available. Underneath here where it says agenda packet, this left side, you can actually use that to scroll through and access the different staff reports, attachments, just at a glance. And now my Wi-Fi is come down. That's where it would be. So you'll see the attachment there, completely viewable as if it were within the packet. This, of course, would give you the view of just that individual item. If we go over back up top to where it shows the meeting overview on the left, it essentially is just another way to view the meeting agenda itself. So it'll show you the agenda as it's laid out, call to order, determination of quorum, following the exact same format that our agendas already have. And similar to the meeting files where you were able to view the individual staff reports. On here, it will allow you to do that as well. You can go ahead and click on the staff report. That will open up a separate window. I have staff. It'll open up the separate window and it'll show you the staff report there. Any attachments included would also show. This one, I did get a little ahead of myself. I'm unfortunately not going to be able to demonstrate this aspect of it, but here for approval of minutes, you'll see that on the right-hand side, it already has this little icon showing motions or votes. So essentially, once a meeting has concluded, if yourself or any member of the public wanted to come in here and just at a glance, the minutes may not be available just yet, but we may want to know what action, if any, was taken. That will appear next to any items where a motion was presented and where a vote would have occurred. And if they click it just at a glance, you'll be able to see what the motion was and again, what those votes were and the results of the vote. So that's a new feature that we didn't have with the previous system that I think as far as transparency and just the ease for the public is going to be pretty helpful. So that's one, the way that it's going to look essentially for a meeting as it's happening. An added feature I'll show you for a previous meeting, which is the water policy meeting that occurred last week. This one, since we didn't post it, they're using the system, you'll notice that we don't have the staff reports and all of that listed here. This one also does have a third file attached labeled as other. And this is a feature that I think is going to be very helpful and we're hoping is going to definitely do what we need it to do and that the public especially will see this as a plus. With the current system, if we had any handouts, we would not be able to provide them until the time of the meeting, right? Have them here as printed copies or share them via Teams via a link. With this system, we are now able to upload those. So for water policy, we did have a couple handouts. Those we can automatically upload here and have them available so that the public can come in and view them. As soon as we receive them, essentially, we can turn around and populate them here to give them and yourselves, additional time to review these if that is necessary. Another feature that we have is, and this one is a little similar to what we already did with the current system, which is the uploading of our videos. So this meeting is currently being recorded via Teams. Once the meeting is over, we download the recording and upload it. So the same will be taking place with this new system and it will be found here under meeting media. I did want to point out though, in comparison, so here it shows the meeting media and it shows the video once it's already been uploaded. If you go to a current meeting, such as the one that I had just shown for finance and admin, which is the one we're currently in, we don't have streaming services with them. So if someone were to come in here and go onto meeting media, they would see an error message here. The video will not appear obviously until after the meeting and we've had a chance to upload it. So that we're trying to figure out a way of either disabling it so that it doesn't show until something has been uploaded. But if you happen to hear comments from any of your constituents kind of mentioning that, just let us know. We're continuing to work on it, but it's unfortunately something that because we're not streaming through them, it's just the way that it's going to show up as an error. Moving along, there's going to be a new feature as well, and this one is specific to you, the board. There is a board portal that comes built in with this new system. This essentially would give you a place to come in and view the agenda. Right now, the only one we have available is today's agenda, but as we start to populate those meetings, you'll start to see them there. It gives you access to the agenda itself. You can view that through here. Gives you access to the packet as well, with all the staff reports and attachments. In addition, you can actually go through and select the items directly through here. Now, in this case, it would have a list. Let me actually go to the next one. So when you click on it, it'll give you information on the item there. At a glance, it'll show you which item it is on the agenda, what meeting it's on, who created it, the department. This one doesn't show the recommended action with the way that we set up our staff reports. It's just not, you'll see the recommendation on the staff report itself. To view that staff report, you see a few attachments here. You can select to open the staff report itself. And then the attachments are included below. Now, the thing that we believe would be of great use for you all, if something you're interested in doing, it does give you a section for notes. So these notes are private. You yourself and only you are able to view them within that portal once you log in. They do also stay with that item. So if you want to use it to kind of just streamline your thoughts a bit, your notes, you can take notes for each item separately. And they would save in here. So you would have them listed. Let me actually. So if you did enter a note in there, you would have a list of any items for which you actually entered notes. So once you go into the little notes icon, it will only populate the meetings that you actually took notes for. If you click on it, it'll open up and then it gives you at a glance the item that you took notes on, what the note was, and if you wanted to go back to view it, it brings you right back to it. So we're hoping that this can be helpful to each of you as we're going through the meeting. You don't have to use it, doesn't disrupt the flow of the meeting, but we would highly encourage it, again, just to kind of give a more streamlined access to you and keeping everything together. We will have, yes.
Question? Go ahead.
These notes, as they are, 100% pure for our eyes only, or
Yes. Yes. Yes, I think we do need to discuss how often, we'll be cleaning those out, so that they aren't there and then eventually creating a records concern. We will have to look into that aspect, but as far as private, they are kept to just yourself. They're assigned to your user profile, so you're the only one that's able to log it on. We do have it set up on your computers now. If you wanted to take a look and kind of play around with it, you're able to do so that as well.
thank you.
And then the last thing that I wanted to show, this one I'm not able to do a full demonstration only because we would have to be using this for the minutes already, and we currently still are not. But there will be a little change in the display as well. Here in the boardroom, we will still be displaying the board packet, the agenda, so that we can follow along. But one of the features with this system is that it also allows us to have a display. Right now, this is just the welcome screen. This is how it would look for any meeting. Welcome to the, and then the name of the meeting, the date. And then from here, as we're going through the meeting, you would see the screen change from the welcome to then if we're called to order, you'll see that show is called to order. When we're getting into action items, that's where we think it's going to be the most beneficial. You'll be able to see the motion on there, and then we can also display the votes as they're happening. So just at a glance, we think it'll be a lot easier to kind of help keep it cohesive and showing you everything that's happening in all aspects of the meeting. And so with that, that concludes my update. That concludes my little demonstration, unless there's something that I mentioned that you have questions about or something else that you might want to see through here.
Very good. Thank you. Any questions?
Nope, thank you. Very good.
Let's see, just a couple things I had, and I think it's pretty fancy here, right? Pretty amazing. So we're still gonna do our meetings with Teams, though. This has nothing to do with how we
Correct.
record the meetings and run the meetings, right?
Right. So the virtual aspect will still be there. It will still be through Teams. That's why I mentioned that I think most of the changes are going to be on staff's end and just the way that we process the agenda outside of that and outside of this, the view of it.
Got it. The board portal, and I would understand that, quite frankly, is optional. If one of us doesn't want to use it, we don't need to use it. We don't need to go into it. It's nothing more complicated than what we already are doing. It's really up to us. I suppose at some point you'll show us how to use it, should we want to. And then our videos also still get uploaded to the YouTube channel separate than this platform, right?
Correct. And that'll continue, right?
And then two things last. One was, is all this data stored here on our system, or is it on the cloud with this vendor? Where does all this reside? I'm just curious, because it's a lot, right, over time.
I want to say it is cloud-based, fully cloud-based. I'll have to confirm that. I don't believe that any of their data we are holding.
But I
here
mean,
in
the
our
fact that,
servers, but
yeah, but you know what I'm saying,
Yeah,
right?
I do believe it is fully cloud-based. I can confirm that.
Yeah, yeah, you can just tell me offline. I'm just curious, because otherwise, I mean, obviously, the more, every organization as we do this, the more we're creating, but the more we're storing, and obviously that
So,
costs money.
well, from a record standpoint,
Yes.
we do, for the sake, especially, I mean, in this situation, we switched from one, switching to another. We tried to do our due diligence to ensure that all of the data that we have with Granicus has been transferred over. We have had to go back a couple times when we've noticed that there were some things missing. So right now, we do feel like we have everything, but all that to say that, you know, we can have Civic Plus for, right now, we have the agreement for 2 years. And those tiers may be up and then we may decide to go elsewhere. So as far as records are concerned, although yes, we upload everything here and they are housing it, again, I'll fully confirm, but on the cloud, we are still responsible for our own records. So we do keep our records, the agendas, the agenda packets, those official meeting records, we still keep.
Okay, got it. The minutes and all that stuff. Okay, last question was, you know, and it really, neither here nor there, but can people just go on this and they just want to see the full year of meetings, just kind of like we do now? We just want to go to whatever year it is, they see everything that happened, or?
Yeah. Everything is on here. It would be a matter of scrolling. The setup is a little different. Just the way that it was organized on Granicus, it kind of had it by year and whatnot. The way that this sets it up is depending on what filters you use to, like, let's say you do want to see all of 2024 and we want to go from there to, you know, to present. It's going to just be it'd be a bit of scrolling involved, but it would all be available there.
Gotcha. Okay. Great. Well, it looks really, really nice. And if everything goes right, December 1st is when you expect it'll transition on our website.
Correct. Right. So starting December 1st, the old, I think I can show it. I have it here somewhere. So this is the one that we currently have.
Mhm.
This is going to go away. And then what we will be seeing is this other landing page. So the only other difference, and I've been doing my best to reach out to them to give them the heads up. I have had a few people respond, is reaching out to those on our distribution list because the email that they've been receiving is no longer going to be the email they receive. We've sent out notifications, just letting them know that there is a change coming. With switching them over to the new system, they also got an email from the system asking them to verify their email so that they can continue to receive notifications from West Basin.
Okay.
So that is the only other thing that I'm still doing some work on that. We're slowly getting verifications in. We'll continue to kind of push, remind them if they want to, because unfortunately they won't receive the notices until they've verified the email. So yeah, in the next week or two before going live.
We may lose some people if they didn't verify the email address at some point. I mean,
Right. Yeah. And you know, if that's the case, we can always reinstate them if they reach out and let us know. I have had a few people kind of call and confirm, is this a legitimate email? Can we do this? What do you need me to do? So they're definitely receiving them. So on that front as well, if there are questions or things of that sort, we can always help them.
and then lastly, for us, it won't change though, the way you all send it to us, because don't we get it from board secretary or somehow you send it to the directors when it's been posted. So
Yeah, and we can continue to do that unless there
Yeah.
happens to be a preference, an individual preference to be put onto the system and have.
I would rather keep it same for me.
Yeah.
Talk to all of us about how you guys want to work with each of us. Yeah. Director Williams, you have a question?
Thank you.
No, I think you answered a lot of our questions. Thank you so much. And good to see this coming together. And we'll see how everyone likes it. And we've got 2 years, right? 2-year contract. So we'll figure this out along the way. So thank you very much to everybody working on that. Okay, let's keep on moving here. 6B is in boy, fiscal year 23-24, small and local business enterprise annual report. EJ.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this item begins on packet page 76. And for the presentation, we have Colette Ayala, our Contracts Administrator.
Hello, Chairman Houston and members of the committee and board. So starting on packet page 76 is the fiscal year 2023-2024 small and local business enterprise annual report. The West Basin Small and Local Business Enterprise Program aims to reduce barriers and expand business opportunities for small and local firms. To encourage the participation of small and local businesses, West Basin sets a 10% annual target participation goal for all eligible expenditures. As required by district policy, staff is to present an annual report to the Board of Directors to reflect the effectiveness of the Small and Local Business Enterprise Program. If I could turn your attention to page 78 of the packet, you can start with the report. So I would like to just start by highlighting the definitions of small and local businesses that the district follows. So the district considers a small business enterprise to be any business that meets and is certified to the federal U.S. Small Business Administration size standards or the small business enterprise standards set by the California Department of General Services. We do accept small certifications from any local agency within the state. Then a local business enterprise is a business that is located within the district service area or within 25 miles of the district headquarters. We do require a vendor to provide evidence, typically in the form of a business license, to qualify as a local vendor. So per admin code section 5-2.109, the district sets a 10% annual target participation goal for all eligible expenditures to go to small or local businesses. The eligible expenditures exclude potable water charges, debt service, permits, employee reimbursement, travel, sponsorships, memberships, and regulated utilities. The next up, we're going to just highlight the incentive points that are available through the program. The proposals that are scored based off best value, they're going to be out of 100 points. And there are up to 7 additional points available for small or local vendors. 3 points if the vendor is certified small, 3 points if it is a local vendor, and 1 additional point if the vendor is working with a small or local sub. And then vendors are eligible to receive up to 7 points if they qualify small, local, and are working with a smaller local sub. For quotes or bids that are evaluated solely on price, they're eligible for a price deduction for the purposes of evaluation of an award. So up to 3% off of their total price for small vendor, 3% for local vendor, an additional 1% if they're working with a smaller local sub. Again, that is only for evaluation purposes. If they are the winning vendor, then they would be awarded the full contract price. So up next, I would like to highlight the success of the program in the past fiscal year. So this first table highlights the numbers of local vendors used by the district in fiscal year 23-24. As you can see, the numbers have gone up in the past year. The largest increase is in local businesses within our service area. I believe this is due to 2 main factors. One is that we did go through when we updated our files. There were a number of local businesses that we did not have recorded correctly in our system, and therefore were not being captured in the report as a local vendor. So we went through and updated all of those. So now we're capturing all of our local businesses. And the other changes that we did increase our vendor outreach efforts starting last fall. We started a biannual newsletter and vendor webinar, as well as increased our participation in outreach events within our area. And these efforts have paid off in growing our vendors within the local business program. And I would like to also just highlight the breakdown of districts of these local vendors within our service area. So 4 of the vendors that are local that we worked with in the past year are located each in District 1, District 3, District 5. We did work with 6 local vendors located in District 2 and a total of 7 local vendors located within District 4 in fiscal year 23-24. Okay. Next up is a chart showing the breakdown of small businesses by account. As you can see here, over 80% of the district spend on small businesses went to vendors within professional services, capital projects, and repairs and maintenance, and non-professional service. That encompassed most of our small spend last fiscal year. And then the next chart shows the breakdown of local businesses by account. As you may notice, our local spend is a bit more diverse than our small business spend, with roughly 20% each being spent on repairs and maintenance and capital projects. But our local spend does go to a greater variety of accounts and types of services than our small business spend. Okay. And then moving further into the numbers. So this next table focuses on the total small and local spend compared to the total eligible spend. I do apologize that there is a typo on this page. The total eligible spend for fiscal year 23-24 should be 67.3 million. I believe on there it says 37.3 million.
I thought that was like, did we do a big budget cut there?
Yeah.
I was like, wow, I knew we cut some things, but okay.
So I do apologize, that is a typo. So it should be eligible spend for this past year was $67.3 million. And 17% of that eligible spend did go to small and local vendors. It is a slight decrease in spend compared to last year. I think part of that might be due to some chemical contracts are no longer with a local vendor, and those chemical contracts are typically on some of our larger contracts that we have. On the next page, we have a chart highlighting the small and local spend by category. I know the details on this chart are a bit small, so I do apologize for that, but it is kind of showing how much of the spend in certain categories is small and local. So 100% of our spend on lab analysis went to small or local vendors. 73% of our spend on temporary labor went to small and local vendors. Then over half of professional services, a quarter of outreach supplies, and over 15% of chemical and advertising spend all went to small and local businesses within the last fiscal year. Now, this last chart represents the top 5 small and local vendors based on total spend. So you can see that number 1 is JCI Jones Chemical Inc. They're a local business within our service area. We spent over $4 million with them last year. Next is Tree People, which is another local business that provides consulting services. We do work with them partially through IRWIP, and we spent almost $1.4 million with them. And then next up is Hazen and Sawyer, which is another local business, Goodyear Engineering, small business, and Wesco Distribution, yet another local business, all receiving over $500,000 last. So lastly, I would like to present our current plan. So our goal is to review the small and local policy and consider increasing our target small and local spend. We have been surpassing that 10% every year, so it might be time to look at that and try and push ourselves a little further. We'd like to boost outreach efforts to increase small and local spend by engaging our vendors through partnerships and events to continue working with our outreach efforts, and consider any policy changes to encourage greater participation and increase our small and local spend. So with that, that concludes my report on the fiscal year 2023-2024 Small and Local Business Enterprise Program, and I'm open to any questions that you may have.
Very much. Any question? I'll start with Director Williams. Questions or comments?
Thank you.
Here.
Why is on these charts, why are they so small, the wording of these charts there? So it's impossible to read. I mean, what's the problem here?
Yeah, we did use a new system for creating it this year. We're using Power BI, so it can be a little bit more automated and that we can compare the information from past years. That did result in some of the numbers being a lot smaller, but I will work with our IT team to see if we can get those numbers to be bigger and more legible in the following years.
Numbers and the words. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Oh, you can't read any of this. I mean, maybe you can, but I can't.
Yeah, they are quite small, so I will make sure that we get that fixed.
Thank you. On that note, and yeah, they're small, but I will say that I suppose if you're on the computer and you're looking at this on our agenda system, you can zoom in to see, right? I mean, you can magnify, but if you can't fix it in the system, I mean, maybe an alternative, EJ and such, would be if we had additional handouts you could bring to the meeting that just had the bigger fonts and.
Happy to do that, and we'll work to enlarge it. As staff mentioned, you're basically taking Power BI and then you're creating a PowerPoint slide with it. So I think the transfer of the information impacts how it looks, but we can definitely do something to magnify that and produce slides that are easy to read from a distance.
Yeah.
Be there.
Well, you have to remember that your audience board.
Myself as well. So
Move away from
Yeah.
them. You know, where'd the paper go?
Thank
no
you.
worries, it's noted.
It's a good observation too, because by the way, you know, I know even when you had the Met Caucus or something or other, and some of the things they bring us, and everything's real small, and I know it's hard because they get put on these big PowerPoint slides, but then when it's, you know, on a printed page or, you know, whatever, it's small. So I think it's something we're all gonna have to figure out, how do we do better on that, with the capabilities, but I just think as well in the interim, you guys could probably create documents for handouts and or a bigger copy of that or something just to help us when that happens. But in light of our aging populace, this is going to be happening more and more often, quite frankly. And it's not, you know, I think we're all going to be hearing about this much more often, quite honestly. Well, let me just say, you know what, I think we are continuing to do a really great job as much as we can on spending locally. It's good to see these numbers. They're staying fairly consistent overall. We're trying to broaden who participates with us. And I know, of course, there's only so much we can do and so much, you know, financial resources we have. But I just want to commend staff for continuing to work on that, because you know the board's talked about this for years, and you all have listened and made that a priority. So I appreciate it. The other thing was that, if I'm not mistaken, yeah, it was like past cycle was about 11 something million dollars, right? That went into our local economy based on how we find that. So it's still a really good story. The fact that, you know, one agency is keeping a lot of money physically in this territory for the most part. So I think, however you always talk about these things in community and what have you is, when it's appropriate, if you can still help to remind people. And obviously each of the cities spends money in their jurisdictions, or in the county certainly. But it's good that people know that, hey, West Basin, we're trying to make sure as much as we can, we're spending locally to the best of our ability. So that would be my always ask, is just, you know, when it's appropriate to let people know how much money we try to keep in our district or service area.
Just to add to that, so it is just over like 11.1 million is what our local and small spend was. But of that, over 9 million was local. So almost all of our small and local program is actually hitting the local community, with most of that money staying, you know, either in our service area or within 25 miles of our credit.
Very significant and good for folks to know. And I really appreciate all the work that staff has done, because I know that since Director Williams and I have been here both, you know, I mean, every year we talk about this, and I know Director Gray talks about it a lot, that we try to make sure local businesses are the ones that are, you know, getting engaged and having bidding opportunities, and that we're trying to spend as much as we can with our local businesses, rather than, you know, some of the same players all the time. And I know you all have done a great job on that. So thank you. Thank you to the finance department and to EJ for making that. Okay. With that, we'll move to 6C as in cat, which is our fiscal year 24-25 first quarter financial results.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is a great report that we have coming before you today. For the presentation, we have Wendy Nakamura, our Chief Financial Officer, as well as Stephanie Clemente Finley, our Accounting Supervisor. And this does begin on packet page 93.
Good afternoon, directors. The finance department is able to close September 2024, the first quarter, at the end of October. So the reason is, you know, normally that's our financial timeline process, because invoices, the money we spending in September, we won't get invoice until October. So for a financial system, we always 1 month later to be able to providing data to the directors. Happy to report that the first quarter financially, West Basin doing very well. So on your package page 93, let's take a look at the financial result for the potable water sales. So as you know, when we did the budget for fiscal year 25, we did a pretty conservative budgeting for potable water, right? So based on FY 24, our actual potable water sales is 83,000 acre feet. And when we did the budget for FY 25, we budgeted the total potable water acre feet is like 80,000. So for the first quarter of FY 25, the total budget sales for potable water is about 23,000. We actually sold a little bit over 25,000, or 9% over the budget. So this is good news. However, we do see in October, the potable water sales started dropping. It's down from 8,000 something in the past 3 months to 7,400 acre feet. So we'll be continue monitoring in the next few months. As of right now, the annual projection for the potable water sales for the entire year is being projected by our water resources department as 84,000 acre feet. So that's about 4,000 acre feet more than what we originally did the budget in May. Please turn to page 94. So now let's talk about the recycling water operation result. In the past few years, our recycling water operation has been running net loss in the past several years. In September committee, we had reported to the board that in fiscal year 2022, the recycling water net loss is $13 million. And then in fiscal year 23, the net loss is 11 million. And then in the year we just conclude FY 24, we lost 17.8 million. So for that reason, when we did the budget for FY 25, which is on your packet page 94, we had already estimated that in FY 25, we're going to lose about 5.6 million. So for the first quarter, we're actually losing $1.1 million, which is within our budget. We had already budgeted our loss, and then we'll see in the next few months how the recycling operation going to do, until the end of the year. Also on page 94, our investment income is doing extremely well. When we're doing the budget, we're expecting the investment return at the 3.9%. The actual return for the first quarter is 4.5%. However, in the next few months, as the interest rate is starting dropping, probably we're going to be seeing our investment income starting to decrease. On page 95 of your package, we have a summary of our water use efficiency, which is the conservation program. Our West Basin conservation program is sponsored by our reliability service charge. And then, we're doing the conservation is not for the income, it's for the community service. So for the first quarter, we have a revenue 45,000, and then we have expenses 356,000. Within the 356,000, about 256,000 is West Basin's labor and benefit. So that's our internal employee cost, and the actual cost is probably only 100,000 for program costs. Other revenue we're expecting to be received within this year is all related to PV lateral project. We're expecting to receiving $2 million from California Department of Water Resources, $2.5 million from Cal Water, and then about $500,000 from PV Golf Course. So we'll continue monitoring that to see when it's coming to West Basin. That coverage we're doing extremely well for the first quarter. When we did the FY25 budget, we projected that our debt coverage for the entire year will be 1.56. The first quarter, due to the potable water sales extremely well, our debt coverage is 2.18. But the debt coverage can be, going down in the future, because we don't know if the sales of the potable water are going to be continue goes up or goes down. And then we also don't know, in the future, what is coming down to the pipeline about our recycling water operation program. So that is conclude my report. There is a summary of the calculation on page 101, which is to show you how I calculated the debt coverage of the 2.18. If you don't have a question, my colleague will cover the report page 102, and we'll go through each department budget to actual for the 3 months.
Any questions?
Not here, thank you.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do those, please.
Okay, great. So, good afternoon, directors and GM and staff. So on page 102, we start with our programs analysis for our first quarter fiscal year 24-25. And we start off with our recycling operations. So here we have budgeted 14.4 million, and our actuals are 14.3 million, with a difference of negative 1%. If you look, we've kind of noted out the various differences, and one was a consulting fee. We have less spent on actuals compared to our budget, and that is due to some delay in billing. Number 2 is our contract operations. It's higher than our budget due to 3 of our payrolls in September. And then number 3, the lab services are low compared to budget due to the staff keeping the lab services cost low. And then number 4, we haven't had the renewals for our software received yet, so we don't have that reported as of the first quarter, and so that is also low. And then let's go to page 103, where we have the water policy and resources. Budgeted for that program is 568,000, and actuals is 314,000. The main difference would be the consultants. We do receive a invoice of 25,250 on a monthly basis. But the programs that are budgeted will be in the later year. So that's why there's a difference there. Okay. And then on page 104, we have PI, Public Information and Education. Here, we have budgeted for the first quarter 1.1 million, and our actual spent is 977,000. The difference there would be for consultants. We had prepaid some of our water harvest bills, so that is why we're high on the consultant side. And then for number 2 and 3, we are lower in that category due to staff reordering some supplies for the various programs. Okay, and then 105, page 105 is water use efficiency. So here we have budgeted $606,000 and our actuals are $356,000. Most of the programs for the water use efficiency don't start until second quarter. So you do see a difference there as far as the actual expenses being lower in the first quarter. And then now going to page 106, we have technical planning, which is the consultants, actually technical planning. We have budgeted 244,000 and actual is 156,000. The difference is the consulting fees, and that's because we have the Hazen and Sawyer for the climate control has not been processed yet, and it's pending. So you will see that in the next quarter. And then on 107, we have the purveyor water quality monitoring. We have budgeted $5,000 for the first quarter, and our actual is $4,000. We do have a slight difference, and that's in the lab services, about -2%. Otherwise, they're pretty much on track there. And then lastly, for those different programs, we have the overhead, which we have budgeted 741,000 with the difference of 300, or I'm sorry, actual is 380,000. The difference there, the main difference is the consultants, where projects have been delayed to the second half of the year. And then we had number 2, which is the legal cost, and that is lower than expected. And we do have some costs that in legal that will be affected in the next quarter. And then finally on 109, we have the CIP projects, where the annual budget is 42.3 million. And for the first quarter, we spent 1.1 million. And those are the various projects that are outstanding for the CIP. And that concludes the budgets to actuals presentation. We're free to answer any questions that you may have.
Great, thank you very much. Any questions?
Thank you.
I have no real questions. I would just maybe a question on the general manager too. I mean, how would you surmise that we are tracking thus far in fiscal year?
I think we're looking good. I would stress that not only myself, but our entire staff is always looking at opportunities to reduce our costs and our expenses. So we're going to continue to do that. You saw that our potable water sales are slightly above where we conservatively budgeted. So I think that that's on the mark. Recycled water, I want to see that go back up. We want to hit our budget and exceed that. So we're working to maximize the use and delivery of recycled water in our service area. But right now, I think that the numbers that you're seeing are looking pretty good. It's always difficult to kind of compare. I think Stephanie and I had a chance to discuss this just, I think, last week. The way we budget, you're looking at the total fiscal year budget and our total expenses, but some of our expenses we know will happen in the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter, and fourth quarter, but it gets kind of lumped into our budget. So it's a little bit difficult to look at it per quarter and really judge it. But I would just stress that we're continuing and will always continue to find ways to cut our costs.
Good, thank you. Yeah, so no other questions or comments. I want to say thank you for that report, and that's on the agenda for the full board meeting as far as just having it in there so the public can see how we're doing, and it's good to see how our staff tracks all that. So thank you very much. With that, we are nearing the conclusion here. So Item 6D is in dog is our monthly financial report. EJ, if you'd introduce that, please.
Yes, thank you very much. For our last information item, it does begin on packet page 110. For this presentation, we have Stephanie Clemente Finley, our accounting supervisor.
Thank you, EJ. As required by West Basin Municipal Water District and Code, staff is required to submit various financial reports to the Board of Directors to keep them appraised of the financial condition and future needs of the district. So we will start with page 112. Well, where we have our demands list, and this is for the period ending October 31st, 2024. Through our demand list, the total of disbursements is listed on packet page 115, where we have 17.9 million that is spent in the month of October. 75% of that is the Met bill at 13.4 million. Okay. Do you have any questions in regards to the demands list?
Any questions?
Okay. So moving on page 117, we have the West Basin cash and investment report. Here, our total market value of all our cash and investments is 58.9 million. And you can see the various security types that we have, as well as a pie chart that lists out the percentages of our security types. On page 118, it shows our total market value as well as our credit quality distribution. And then on page 119, it shows our maturity distribution of the 58 million. And then page 120 to 131 shows our transactions as well as the glossary of the various types of investments we have on the report. And then starting on page 132, is the start of our monthly water sales. So here, as for fiscal year 25, we have on top our imported retail, where for the month of October, we have 7,415 acre feet, which is above our budget of 7,368 and is less than what we had last year. But year to date, we are above our expected budget of 31,160 acre feet, and also above the year to date fiscal year 24 at 32,000 acre feet. So there we are above the budget as well as last year. On the bottom part of the report, we have the imported barrier, where we also are above year to date last year as well as budget, where we have 636 acre feet. And year to date, we are also above budget at fiscal year 24 at 3,115 acre feet. And then next we have page 133, where we have our recycled water. And as Wendy mentioned, we are below on our recycled water. So here for October, the month of October, we're at 2,809 acre feet, which is low, and it's below our budget of 3,205, as well as below our fiscal year 24 at 2,925. And then year to date, we are, so you can see that we are at 11,156. And that's below fiscal year 24 and the budget.
The budget is above everything the budget was too high, apparently. I mean, it seems, I'm looking at the entire chart, all these budget figures are above the past performance. I mean,
For, which portion?
recycle water. I mean, why is the budget so much higher than the actual performances?
I think a couple of things. One, we're still working to get the Juanita Melander McDonald project online and producing maximum amounts to Marathon. So we've been utilizing a lot of imported water there. I believe the Torrance refinery also has some issues. So we use potable water there. So our sales go down when that happens. There was the power outage at the Edward C. Little Water Recycling Facility. And in that case, all of our production goes down. So we got hit there. And then we've been trying to replace those RO membranes and get more water to the barrier. So that number has gone up, but we're still doing our best to get it even higher than that. And Eric, I don't know if you have anything to add.
I do actually. Director, I would add that, when we budget these numbers, there is a bit of optimism in what the customers are going to take in the following year. And there's a risk of not budgeting high enough, right? If we solely base them on previous years, and customers actually do take more, then we have to spend more in chemical and more in energy to produce that recycled water. Well, if we haven't budgeted for that higher usage of chemical and energy, say, then we're going to be below budget in that coming year and have to come back to the board and figure that out. So I think what you see here is really our best estimate, working with our customers to determine what they're going to take with respect to recycled water, and then having the revenue or the budgeted values that represent that number.
Do you foresee in the near future actually reaching the budget figure?
I do. In fact, one of the biggest impacts to our budgeted consumption has been the barrier, and coming in much lower than we'd like to be producing for injection into the barrier. We've got several things that are happening and continuing to occur throughout this year, which are the installation of microfiltration membrane that ultimately, when that's completed, that will allow us to then produce more. And so we do expect that for next year, we'll be able to see a sizable increase in the barrier production. And of course, our barrier system is the biggest recycled water that we have relative to irrigation and refinery customers. It does represent, I think, about a third of our, give or take, of our total recycled water production. So gains in the barrier production will result in significant gains here on that.
Thank you very much.
Very good, thank you. Okay, so was there any other part of that report?
The last part is the barrier, refineries, and disinfected triterary, where we have a total of 2,809 acre feet, which is also below budget and fiscal year 24. And moving on to packet page 134, we have the director's conference and travel expense. We have the annual budget of 75,000. We've spent 14,676, and which gives us a remaining balance of 60,000. And then on page 135, we have the executive management and staff travel expense. Our annual budget is 101,000. Grand total for our year to date is 32,000, leaving us a balance of 68,000. And that concludes the report. Do you have any questions or comments?
Okay, very good, thank you. Any questions?
No, thank you.
Okay, I want to say very good reports. Thank you so much. And with that, we will move forward. We have no closed session today. The director's comments or future agenda items. Any of my colleagues have any comments? Future agenda item? Here.
Oh, no, thank you very much.
Um, again, excellent meetings, reports, and, the comment I would make is just, when we start planning for the budget workshops, right? EJ, we've got to shockingly start getting ready to do all that. So do you have an idea of when you'll be coming back to this committee to start that discussion of what we're thinking for the new year?
Can you remind me when we brought the initial overview to the board of directors as far as the outline, as far as our meetings and workshops? We typically, in-house staff-wise, begin in January, and then, of course, February, we kind of really get the ball rolling. But I can't remember when we brought the outline to the board for a consensus as to all the workshops that we were going to have.
I think the end of March.
Okay.
And then we had our very first workshop in April 6th.
Why don't, at the next committee meeting, we just have an information item, EJ, so you can sort of lay out a framework of what we think, so that as we get into January, February, we can already start contemplating when we have an initial workshop, et cetera, just so we're early, just to even talk about what the dates might be or what you all are thinking. Okay. So with that, our next scheduled meeting is December 17th of 2024, and we are adjourned.
Thank you.
Yeah.